Everybody, welcome back to Algebra 1. Today we're going to be working with multi-step inequalities. Do you remember that trick that if you divide by a negative, what you need to do to the symbol in the middle? You guessed it, flip it. So right now on the top of your paper, hit pause and write flip the symbol when you multiply or divide both sides by a negative. Hit pause now, and I'm going to write it down for you. Welcome back. Did you guys write all that down? If not, hit pause again so that way you can get it fully copied down. For today's notes, we're really going to skip around. Last chapter, you guys all worked really hard to understand how to solve multi-step equations. We're still going to work with those same steps. We're just going to have some special cases that are going to look a little bit different when we do our graphing and writing our interval notation. So let's start by looking at letter B. Looking at letter B, do we all see how there are parentheses on the right-hand side of the equation? Good. So then we're going to go ahead and do what we've been doing over and over. We're going to distribute that 2 to everything inside the parentheses. So the 10 minus 8a stays where it's at. We bring down that symbol. Be very careful to rewrite that symbol so you take care if there's any negative issues. And now we're going to distribute. What is 2 times 5? You guessed it, 10. And what is 2 times a negative 4a? Right on again, negative 8a. Now that we simplified everything we can on both sides, now we're going to look for like terms on opposite sides of the equation. So if we look on the left-hand side, we have a negative 8a. Looking on the right-hand side, we also have a negative 8a. So how do we bring them to the same side? Right, we're going to add 8a to both sides. Something kind of neat here happens. On the left side, my a's cancel out, and the same exact thing happens on the right side. So what I'm left with, keeping that symbol in the middle, is 10 is greater than or equal to 10. Let's think about that for a minute. Is that a true statement? Is 10 greater than, or is it equal to 10? You're right, it is equal to each other. So because this is true, we have one of those special cases, all real solutions. Now the way we would graph this is actually kind of neat. We're going to go ahead and draw our number line. And because we don't have any numbers that we're really working with here, we can just go ahead and put a 0 in the middle and ask yourself what numbers come before and after 0? You guessed it, negative 1 and 1. Because it's all real solutions, that means that we graph the entire number line. Because any number that we put in for x, or in this case a, is going to make both solutions true. So thinking about interval notation, we have an arrow on the left-hand side that represents negative infinity, and we have an arrow on the right-hand side that represents positive infinity. So if we put that into interval notation, we have negative infinity to positive infinity. And what do infinities get? Great job, they both get parentheses. Awesome work on that one. Let's go ahead and look at letter D now. So looking at letter D, again, everybody sees how we have that negative 2 in front of the parentheses. So be sure with that negative 2 there, you distribute that. You don't do the 5 minus 2 because we're not allowed to do that. It breaks all the math rules and we end up in math jail. So we're going to carry down that 15, rewrite our less than or equal to, and that 5 because all of that is staying exactly where it's at. And now we multiply. What is negative 2 times 4m? Great, it's negative 8m. Now multiply again, watching your signs carefully. What is negative 2 times 7? Negative 14. Way to go, way to really watch those signs. The next step in solving multi-step equations or inequalities is you need to combine like terms on the same side. So if I get out my little highlighter here, do we all see how there's a 5 and a negative 14? They're on the same side, so same operation. Bring down my 15 is less than or equal to, what is 5 minus 14? Good job, it's negative 9. And we still have our minus 8m. Looking at what we have here, I have a 15 all by himself on the left-hand side. So how do I move the number friend, negative 9, to the other side? Right, I'm going to do the opposite or inverse operation. So I'm going to add 9 to both sides. 15 plus 9 gives us, you're on fire, it gives you 24, great job, is less than or equal to a negative 8m. Hopefully at this point, there's some alarms and bells going off in your head because you hopefully have realized that you have a negative attached to the variable. And remember that statement we wrote above, if you are multiplying or dividing both sides by a negative, we need to flip that symbol in the middle. Because there's a negative 8 attached, we need to unattach it by dividing both sides by negative 8. When we do that, 24 divided by negative 8 is a negative 3. And instead of having a less than or equal to symbol, it now flips the opposite direction. So we have a greater than or equal to m. So when we do our graphing, this is the solution that we're going to graph. So we draw our number line. And you ask yourself, what number goes in the middle? Correct, negative 3. Carefully think about it. How do we number this? What number comes before negative 3? Did you say negative 4? That's the correct answer. And then what number comes after negative 3? Negative 2. Awesome. So now we look at our symbol. It has a line underneath it. So what kind of dot is that? Open or closed? Closed. Good job. And then finally, if you look here, m is on the wrong side. So because m is on the wrong side, even though the arrow is pointing to the right, we're actually going to shade opposite to the left. Are there any questions on that one? If so, make sure you see your math teacher. We're going to do one more example going through these steps because there's one other special case. We can have it where we get an answer. We can have it where we get infinite solutions or all real solutions. And there's one other type of answer that we might get. So let's focus on letter E. Looking at letter E, we start the same way. We ask ourselves, do we have any parentheses? Nope. So then we ask, do we have like terms on the same side? Well, we have a 7m and a negative m on the same side. What is that imaginary number that's attached with that negative sign? Correct, a 1. So when I combine my like terms, what I'm really doing is subtracting 7 minus 1m. I'm going to bring down everything else from the other side. So 6m minus 5 is greater than, what is 7m's take away 1m? Good job, 6m. And then I still have that plus 7. So now we have the m's on both sides, so we need to get them all to one side. So what is the opposite of a positive 6m? Minus 6m, good job. But something neat happens here. My 6m's on the left side cancel, and the 6m's on the right side cancels. So if I carry down what's left on both sides, I have a negative 5 is greater than 7. So then again, you ask yourself, is negative 5 more than 7? No, no way, that is false. You would rather have positive money than negative money, sorry about that. So that is not true. So this one has the answer of no solutions. And the graph for this one is kind of non-existent. Because remember, when we're doing this graphing, we're graphing what are all the solutions. So if I draw a number line here, it doesn't really matter what number I put in the middle. To keep it easy, I'll put a 0. What number comes before 0? Negative 1. After 0, good, 1. I'm not going to put anything on here because there is no solution. No matter which direction, even if I go all the way to the left in the negatives, I'm not going to find a number that makes it true. And if I go all the way to the right in the positives, I'm not going to find a number that makes it true. So my number line is just that. It's a number line with no shading, no dots. So I hope you understood today's lesson. There's nothing really that new from the previous days or even from the last unit follow those same solving equation steps. The only thing you really need to be careful for is to make sure that there are no negatives attached to your variable, because if there is, and you divide both sides by a negative number, or multiply both sides by a negative number, just remember to flip that symbol in the middle. You can always go back and plug in your answers to make sure that they make sense in your original equation. I hope you all had a great time. See you soon. Bye.